Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour. As you can see us here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios with that wonderful Wildcat logo, as this hour of the show is proudly powered by the awesome people at the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Head out there 7 days a week, including to watch all of your games. Thursday football, Saturday football, Sunday night football, and of course, you can get out there for Monday Night Football and so much more. So head out to the Wildcat, continue to support local. We appreciate you so very much for all of you that do exactly that and support the local community. The Wildcat Sports Pub open for you 7 days a week on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And of course, you can go there for takeout and delivery as well. And takeout and delivery phone number 315-487-2222. So if you want to support local and support the Wildcat, but you're staying home for the games or whatever it may be, 315-487-2222. My family and I used to do Pizza Fridays. So if you do Pizza Friday and you're not cooking in the house, but you're staying in the house, make sure to head out to the Wildcat as well. 315-487-2222 for takeout and delivery. And, of course, you could dine in on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. So, with that being said, it is week 14 of the 2022-23 season. Last week, I was on the road with my dad. My dad and I were taking a nice vacation. We've never taken a vacation of that magnitude, just us, before, so we had the opportunity to do that, and I loved my time with my pops. So we had some things set up for you, and we weren't with you for fantasy football as we typically are, so we miss you all. We're happy to be back, and make sure to send in your questions to us because we'd love to help you out and get you on your merry way with everything that you need for fantasy football. So however we can help, we love helping, and we look forward to doing that. You got the full slate that's here with us, and we have our Thursday game, obviously our Sunday 1 o'clock, our Sunday mid-afternoon games, Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, and we're back to having teams on bye week. So a little interesting here, as the NFL used to be that you would go through, part of the season, that initial part of the season, and everybody would be playing, and then there would be bye weeks, right? And when those bye weeks would come around, it was a situation where it was like, okay, well, if we're going to have bye weeks, then here's the weeks that the teams are going to be off. Well, that's different now, because now it's okay, we're going to go a few weeks into the season, then we're going to have these teams off, then we're not going to have anybody off, then we're going to have bye weeks again. So it's a little bit of a different scenario and situation, but this is where we are in the NFL now, and so bye weeks are kind of split up a little bit here, and kind of weird, right, to have a bye week 13 weeks into the season, and tough for those teams that had to endure such a road to get to where they are right now, but credit them for getting there. Like I said, a bunch of teams off. Atlanta, Chicago, Green Bay, Indianapolis, New Orleans, and Washington are all off this week. So make sure if you're playing any of them that if you have anybody on your roster on any one of these teams that you know that you have to take them off so that you don't have a spot here that's dedicated to somebody who's not going to be playing. You don't want to be caught up in a situation like that. So just make sure that you do your due diligence to check what you need to check and make sure that your team is going to be stacked up right and set up right here so you don't miss out on anything, because that's a tough one, right? When you go in there and nobody likes to play that team that forgot to sit somebody, because now you're playing a team that's, got a bunch of guys off and it's not fair, right? It's like, you're playing a half of a roster. So make sure you set your lineup, have it ready to go for this week, and we're going to have you ready and helping you set your lineup. If you have a question, as always, you could send it to us on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. Any one of those is going to have our feed. So if you're on MixLR.com /WakeUpCallDT right now, you have our feed there that you can write into, and then you also have our feed on youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT and on Facebook.com /WakeUpCallDT. So however you can get in touch with us, make sure that you do, because we're happy to help you in setting your lineup and getting ready for this week. So let's start things off with the Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Rams. Raiders-wise, Derek Carr, not a bad play. Not a bad play, especially, this week you may have some guys off, so you might have to do some shifting and reworking and whatnot. So this might not be a bad play for you this week. I got Derek Carr as a quarterback too, as it currently stands. But like I said, not the worst thing that you could do out there. Josh Jacobs he's got a quad injury, so just watch that. He's been limited early on this week. They're a team like the Arizona Cardinals weeks ago, and hopefully not anymore. But the Raiders are a team that almost every one of their running backs is on the injury report. However, Zamir White, who I covered in college when he was at Georgia, he might get a look this week, and he's probably out there in free agency. I don't know if he would be out there on the waiver wire because I don't know a lot of people that would have drafted and stashed him. Maybe a few of you did that listened to the show and heard us talk about, heard me talk about Zamir White here on the broadcast. But, ultimately, I think Zamir White might be a sneaky little flex play for you this week, especially against not great Rams defense. Devontae Adams is worth the play too. How do you keep him off? And, outside of that, I don't really see anything else to write home about. For the Los Angeles Rams, this team is all types of injured, and when these guys weren't injured, it wasn't working out. Allen Robinson, it just wasn't working. It hasn't worked. I'm not sold on Allen Robinson, and like I said, the best season that the Jaguars have had in recent history came when Allen Robinson was out for the year. And this is not me thankful that he was out for the year. It's me telling you that their production was the highest that it had been in over a decade when they didn't have their number one guy. And that to me said something about kind of what he can be on the field to a team. And I thought, all right, well, maybe he'll have more life in Chicago, and he did some good things there number-wise, but he hasn't been relevant with the Los Angeles Rams. Now it's Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, who I covered in college at Louisville. Really for this one, and John Walford is hurt. Baker Mayfield's on the team now. Bryce Perkins might be playing. So we'll see what happens from here. But how the mighty have fallen. A team that went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl now has Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford on injured reserve and are picking up Baker Mayfield, the former number one pick by the Browns, off of waivers. So if you're going to play anybody from the Rams this week, I would say Cam Akers would be the guy to play. But this is not a pretty game for Thursday Night Football, and not something that I think they thought the Raiders were going to be better, and that the Rams were going to be relevant, obviously, after winning a Super Bowl. But none of that has been the case, and not a lot of fantasy in this game outside of looking at the running backs and maybe going out there and picking up Zamir White and sneaking that in before somebody else does it. Outside of that, we look at the Jets. I mean, the Jets they're 7-5, right? They got a good record. They're fighting for the AFC East, which is neck and neck and neck and neck. Everybody's alive there, and they've played multiple quarterbacks. Zach Wilson is inactive this week. Mike White, who had himself a nice history recently here, is out there. Zonovan Knight might be the guy who's going to be carrying the ball for this team. I covered him when he was at NC State. So another guy who's getting an opportunity here, James Robinson, had 4 carries in Week 13. He might get more this week, but my look is to Garrett Wilson. Maybe a Corey Davis is a flex guy, but Garrett Wilson is where I would put my money. And then Zonovan Knight and James Robinson could be flex guys in a deep league for you. On the other side of it, but I'm not sold on James Robinson's role there yet. Buffalo Bills-wise, got to play Josh Allen, got to play Devin Singletary. And, James Cook, what did I tell you? I said James Cook as a rookie, I said not only do I believe he would play, but I believe that eventually he'll take over. And he had the majority of it recently here for the Buffalo Bills. And James Cook is worth the play in this one for me as well. I got him as a low end 2, high end 3, but still a running back you could put out there. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, obviously worth the play. Dawson Knox was shut out and gave me 0 points this past week. Thank you, Dawson. But, Dawson Knox is still a tight end. I would say a mid-range to low-end 1 tight end. Not one of your top 5 or 6 tight ends in the country, but arguably, and obviously they're in the top, let's say 12, top 15. So I would look to play him as well. A lot of value on the Buffalo Bills side in this one. Then we go to Cleveland and Cincinnati going up against each other. And this is the game where, I mean, this is the one you kind of circle and say to yourself, okay, how many points they're going to score. Now, there has been low-scoring outings before that are surprising, but these are two teams that are usually going up against each other in recent history. There's no defense, and 30-something on one side, 30-something on the other side. So Cleveland at Cincinnati, taking a look at this game and what this game can pose for you fantasy football-wise. You know, I would say that, I mean, Deshaun Watson's going to be playing in this game, so we'll see if he can knock the rust off. I like Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Still like Amari Cooper in this one. And Donovan Peoples-Jones, I look at him as a guy to put as a wide receiver 3. On Cincinnati's side, Joe Burrow is worth the play, and Jamar Chase, T. Higgins as low-end 2, high-end 3 at wide receiver. Got to look at that. God willing, Joe Mixon will be feeling better. He has a concussion, and so hopefully things will get better there. Samaje Perine might be the guy that they trust in the backfield in this one, who could be a sneaky flex for you if you're going to play 3 or 4 running backs because they're playing the defense of Cincinnati, which, you know, is kind of like playing the defense of open air. So that's how that looks at this time. But a lot of value on both sides. Houston at Dallas. It's funny, I was just talking about this game back in 2002 when Houston was an expansion team. Hard to believe 20 years ago. When they were an expansion team, and I bought a shirt at Champion, I believe, in Northern Lights. I went out there and got this shirt. It had the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys, and it was the inaugural game, and the Houston Texans won that game. Think about that. America's team going up against an expansion team in their first ever game, and the Cowboys lose to the Houston Texans. Crazy. Dameon Pierce, I would say, is worth the play here, but I relegate him to a running back 3 because of the defense that he's playing in the Cowboys. And Brandon Cooks is hurt. God willing, he'll get better. Nico Collins may be out there. And then there's a bunch of guys that are non-household names, and Philip Dorsett, who's been all over the place. So ultimately, and a bunch of tight ends that they can't figure out who their guy is going to be still to this day. So I don't see a lot of value here outside of Dameon Pierce, but knowing that that's really the guy, Dallas will key in on him with their defense. And if their defense can do what it did to Minnesota, well, then you would like to think they could maybe shut out a team like Houston, but we've seen crazier things happen. So Dameon Pierce has value, but the value's lowered because of who they're playing. With that being said, I like the Cowboys' defense and special teams. Dak Prescott in this game, as well as Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. My guy Tony Pollard out of Memphis doing his thing. CeeDee Lamb, I like him. Michael Gallup, I would put him as a wide receiver 3. And Dalton Schultz. I mean, really, this would be the game where I'm throwing a bunch of the guys out here. I do love the fact that at the last second, I looked to take Dalton Schultz out of my lineup, and he had a quiet week. So something inside of me must have known something, because normally I play Dalton Schultz, but I just I didn't like it compared to what else I had out there. Jacksonville at Tennessee. If this game is won by the Jaguars, I get a free dinner from Carl Sanfilippo, the head coach of the Baldwinsville Bees football team here in the community. If I lose, I have to buy him and one of his big offensive linemen dinner, and that is just not okay. So the Jaguars have to win on the road against the Tennessee Titans so that I can save some money in that little change purse. So, and here's the issue. Trevor Lawrence is questionable with a foot injury. God willing, he will be okay. If he doesn't play, it's C.J. Beathard time. And either way, with the way that things are right now, Travis Etienne, got to put him out there. And then Jermichael Hasty, if you're in a deep flex type of situation league. If Trevor Lawrence plays, then Hasty could be a running back 4. Either way, with or without Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne is a yes. Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, just watch the Trevor Lawrence piece of this because they're targets that he likes. And if C.J. Beathard comes in, that might be more value here for Evan Engram, as, like I said, when a backup comes in, typically runs the ball and goes to their tight end. So just watch that. On the other side of it, Ryan Tannehill against this defense, I'd put him as a quarterback 2. And then Derrick Henry, you got to play. Dontrell Hilliard, you got to play as well. And then maybe an Austin Hooper as a tight end 2 if you're going to put a couple tight ends out there. And when I say tight end 2, he's not in my upper echelon. So, I mean, if you didn't get the Travis Kelce's and the Mark Andrews and the Dalton Schultzes of the world and whatnot, and this is who you have, then I would say, okay, maybe that's okay to put him out there against Jacksonville. But I do like Jacksonville's defense, but Derrick Henry and Dontrell Hilliard, I think, are going to bring some value to this game. I just need the Jaguars to win so I don't have to buy an offensive lineman dinner. And 2 people did it. That's the thing that doesn't make sense. Not really fair, right? If I lose, I have to buy 2 dinners. If I win, I get my dinner for free. So I should be able to bring a guest. That's how this thing should shake out. Philadelphia at the Giants, as we're here inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour on NFL Week 14, 2022-23 season, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Make sure you head out there for all of your week's needs when it comes to food and watching the games and getting a drink. And obviously, as always, drink responsibly if you're going to do that, and don't get behind the wheel if you have had enough that you are not fully there. So just make sure you take care of yourself. It is a wonderful, awesome environment, bar and restaurant in Camillus, New York, on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, and just make sure that you're being safe out there, folks, as always. Philadelphia at the Giants. This is one of the hottest tickets out there, and from what I'm seeing right now, it's the most expensive ticket, the lowest priced ticket of all of, if you're looking at all of the games here in Week 14 in the NFL, they have the highest priced lowest ticket, which is $144. So their lowest ticket, $144, and then it goes up from there. And then the games that are the closest, the Vegas Raiders at the Los Angeles Rams, that ticket's $131. Tampa Bay at San Francisco is $137. And then we have $123 for Minnesota at Detroit, which is a game that I want to get to next here. So Lake Minnetonka at Detroit. We're going to do Philadelphia at the Giants, and then we'll do Minnesota at Detroit. So looking at Philly, a team that the Cowboys are chasing, but they continue to win. 11-1, only tripped up by the Washington Commanders inside of their NFC East division. Eagles, Jalen Hurts, yes. Miles Sanders, yes. A.J. Brown, yes. Devontae Smith, oh yes. Yes, yes, yes. Those are the players that you play for Philadelphia. And there's, on the other side for the Giants, Saquon Barkley. That's what I look to, right? And they're playing Philadelphia. They're going to try and obviously score some points here. But, the New York Giants, if we look at their most recent game here, which is a tie with the Commanders, which helped out the Eagles and the Cowboys by having both of these teams look like they didn't even play a game, tying 20-20. So Saquon Barkley was able to score in this last game. And outside of that, Darius Slayton, he put together 90 yards on 6 catches, 8 targets. Isaiah had a touchdown in the game. Daniel Bellinger, Richie James, a lot of non-household names here. Darius Slayton's probably the one that you know. If you play him, I'd probably flex him out. I wouldn't want him to be my wide receiver 1 or 2 against Philadelphia this week, so hopefully he's not. But I really see it in Saquon Barkley, and Saquon's going to have to show what he can do when they stack the box type of thing. Greg said these Week 14 buys are brutal for us fantasy football diehards. Yeah, it's very true, man. It is tough when you go through something like this. With Atlanta, if you have Cordero Patterson, if you have Tyler Algier, if you have Drake London and Kyle Pitts, Chicago, if you have Justin Fields or David Montgomery. You look at Green Bay, if you have Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, maybe you have one of the wide receivers out there. Maybe you have Allen Lazard or Randall Cobb. In Indy, if you have Jonathan Taylor. In New Orleans, if you have Elvin Kamara, right? Or if you have Taysom Hill. And then in Washington, if you got a couple of their backs, right? If you have Brian Robinson Jr., Antonio Gibson, or Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's been on my starters, I believe, every week since the beginning of the season. So for 13 weeks. And now, I gotta replace him and put somebody out there for a week. So, yeah, this is a very, very brutal week for those of us that play fantasy football. Not only with the teams that are out, but when you look, it's the number of teams that are out, which is tough, right? Because you cast a big net. But it's also the caliber of who's out, because Elvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones. Those are top 10 guys at running back. They're all out the same week. So that's not ideal for anybody out there, and that's a very clear thing to say. Minnesota at Detroit. Detroit's coming off of an awesome home win over the Jaguars after the Jaguars got a great home win over Baltimore that I was on site on location for. They won 28-27 over Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and then they go to Detroit and play like absolute hot garbage, and that was awful. Greg said Watson has been absolute fire for the Packers. Yeah, and I said Christian Watson, when he got drafted, I talked about his numbers, right? I went over the rookie guys and at different positions, and I spoke about Christian Watson coming from North Dakota State and what he could do for this team immediately, that they didn't have a true number one guy and that the rookie could emerge as a number one. So, a lot of love to Christian Watson and the work that he's put forward and all the things that he's done. If we take a look really quick here at Christian Watson, and let you know kind of some of the things that he's done up to this point. Watson for me has been a player that, it's good. I mean, it feels good when you talk about somebody at the beginning of the season where nobody has seen it, so nobody's seen anything from him in the NFL. And I said, listen, this is a guy to watch out for. It's a guy that could become their number one guy. Recently here, he had 3 catches on 6 targets for a touchdown, and 48 yards behind Allen Lazard. If we look at Christian Watson by the games this year, he's had 2 100-yard games in the last 4 games. 107, his first ever 100-yard game in the NFL, coming against the Cowboys on November 13th, 2022, in an overtime win, 31-28. He had 8 targets, caught 4, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns on 4 catches against the Cowboys. Nuts. And against a good team there, too. And then against Philadelphia, 110 yards on 4 catches, 6 targets, and had a touchdown. So his 200-yard games have come against 2 of the best teams in the NFC this season. That should say something to you. It's not against, it's not in garbage time, and it's not against teams that are not vying for the playoffs. So much love and respect to Christian Watson, and I hope you continue to shine brightly, sir, because I saw the journey, I saw the road that he had, that he could get to being the top guy in Green Bay, and I'm happy that they drafted him. I said a lot of great things when they did, so I'm excited to see what he can continue to do, and I'm happy that he's already done some good things here. On the Minnesota at Detroit game, speaking of Green Bay in the NFC North, Minnesota at Detroit, while Green Bay is off, they'll be playing, and Minnesota, Delvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. He's up and down. He's a low-end flex, like a wide receiver 4, probably. TJ Hawkinson, I do like him in this game as well, because he's going up against his old team. We'll see if he gets cheered or booed when he heads back to Detroit. And, I don't agree with the decision, but here we are. So, DeAndre Swift, the man who has been more confusing than my ex-girlfriends, fantasy-wise, and to me, if they were in fantasy, then I wouldn't have to deal with the reality of what happened. But DeAndre Swift is a good friend. DeAndre Swift, taking a look at him, this is a place where it's, okay, he's coming off a good week, but what does this guy do on a consistent basis? So if you want to put him out there as a running back 3, I could definitely understand that. And, I guess we can look to that. So, he's an inconsistent guy. Jamal Williams is still worth the play, in my opinion. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'd put him out there as well. On the other side of it, and like I said, on Minnesota, already gave you my guys there. So with that being said, as we take a look at the schedule, we'll hit our Baltimore-Pittsburgh game before we take a step aside. Our final 1 o'clock game, Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, and taking a look at this matchup that is inside of their division of the AFC North. This is obviously a game that has some implications for teams when they're vying for their spots, but Pitt right now has some work to do. They're 5-7. They're at the bottom of the AFC North, under the Cleveland Browns, who are also 5-7. Cincinnati is 6-4, and the Baltimore Ravens are 8-4 as things currently stand. The Pittsburgh Steelers, taking a look at their schedule, they've won 3 of their last 4. They defeated the Saints, at home. They lost to the Bengals. They defeated the Colts on the road on Monday Night Football, and just recently defeated the Falcons in a low-scoring bout, 19-16 on the road. Kenny Pickett, 16 of 28, most recently 197 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris, 86 yards on the ground that he was able to find here, and 6 yards through the air. And then my guy Pat Freiermuth leading the team with 76 yards. And I'm just a big fan of him. I don't know why so many people didn't draft him, but totally fine with me to take him up and get him on my team. PCL injury is leaving Lamar Jackson questionable. If he doesn't play, Tyler Huntley will be out there for them, and so we could see him out there. If that happens, look to Gus Edwards and Kenyon Drake as running back threes for you to put out there this week, and maybe you grab them and stash them, look for them on the waiver wire. Mark Andrews, also worth the play. Like I said, backup quarterback, run the ball, go to your tight end, and they have one of the best, if not the best tight end in football in Mark Andrews. On the other side, Najee Harris, to me, is worth the play, and Pat Freiermuth, Deontay Johnson, lower end 2, high end 3 at wide receiver. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break here inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub for NFL Week 14, 2022-23 season. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and when we spin back around, we'll continue to bring you our content for fantasy football advice. If you have a question, send it over. We're always happy to answer them here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios.
Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life, and always appreciate being here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time, and very much looking forward every single week to the Fantasy Football Power Hour. And we don't take weeks off. We continue to talk about the NFL all year long. Love doing it. Love bringing it to you. So much appreciation to all of everybody out there who has been with us on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, on wakeupcalldt.com, our main website, and on facebook.com/livenowdt. So however you've connected with us, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Of course, on our social media, Facebook at wakeupcalldt, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. With that being said, inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub for NFL Week 14 for the 2022-23 season. We're keeping things going with a trio of games that are going to be midday on Sunday, December 11th. And that first game is going to be Kansas City at Denver. Denver is just not getting it done. And it's hard, right? It's really hard to see these Denver Broncos struggling the way that they are. And, and for me to have somebody that's in the thick of all this, right? And to see that, struggles happen. Now, the what have you done for me lately, right? And I think people need to understand that it takes time to coach, and it takes time to get guys ready, and it takes time to get everything set up here, and people need to understand that. So, I just need people to know that. And it takes time. It definitely takes time. And I don't think that people realize that things take time anymore. And that's unfortunate. And that's reality, right? Nate Hackett has come under scrutiny. A good friend of mine has come under scrutiny, and it's been something that really from the beginning, right? And that's just not. I think people need to understand. I mean, when you're a head coach at any level, it takes time to get there, right? People see Russell Wilson and they're like, how could you be losing with this guy, right? How could you be losing in this situation? But you look at injuries that have happened. You look at just the reality of the fact that, you're in a place where you're a first-time head coach and you're trying to figure things out. And I think that, the thing that most of us chase in life is time, and then a lot of us also disrespect the heck out of it. It takes time to build, and I think people need to understand that. Kansas City Chiefs, on their side of it for fantasy football, Pat Mahomes, Isaiah Pacheco, as well as Travis Kelce, all worth the play. Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I'd have these two guys as wide receiver threes out there for you. Shouldn't be your one or your two, but you can obviously put them out there. On the other side of it, Latavius Murray, look to get him an opportunity out there. Running the ball, help the team out a little bit here. Denver has, like I said, I mean, it's been a rough go. It's been a rough season. They're 3-9. They've lost 4 in a row. They've lost 8 of their last 9 games after starting the season. 2-1, have lost 8 of their last 9. So obviously this is a tough thing. Defensively, they did what they needed to do against Baltimore, and and obviously Tyler Huntley had to come in there, and Lamar Jackson being out, lowers this game a bit here, obviously. But 10-9 in a defensive game, they lose by a point. And look at Greg Dulcich, who I had said maybe you should pick up and play a couple weeks ago. He had 6 catches, 85 yards on 8 targets. Judy had 4 catches on 4 targets, caught them all, 65 yards. So something to look at. But I do like Latavius Murray in this game. Led the team in carries and yards most recently, and he also caught 4 balls. So I do like Latavius Murray coming from my hometown county of Onondaga County. So I do like him, and I think that, he's worth the play for you. And outside of that, Jerry Jeudy as a wide receiver 3 on that side for you. I don't trust Russell Wilson in this offense, so I'm typically staying away from that situation. Next up here, we have Tampa Bay at San Francisco. The Tampa Bay Succaneers. So, I mean, looking at how they've been doing up to this point, it hasn't been pretty by any stretch of the imagination. And the Tampa Bay Bucks, I mean, this has been a season for them. I mean, really, you look at the division, a losing team maybe hosting, not only in the playoffs, but hosting a playoff game. And how crazy would that be if a Dallas Cowboys team with like 11, 12 wins, 13 wins, goes in to Tampa and has to play a Tampa team who's 8 wins, 9 wins, 7 wins. So right now they're 6-6, and the Atlanta Falcons are behind them at 5-8. Carolina's 4-8. New Orleans is 4-9. That's the NFC South. That's how fugly that it looks. And in this game, Leonard Fournette is worth the play. Rachaad White is worth the flex. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are worth the play as well. Tom Brady, numbers-wise, he was the guy that it was like, okay, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, right? And as he's playing, you're watching him do his thing. But in fantasy, it was kind of like, meh, you know what I mean? But, so looking at it now, most recently in a 1-point win over the Saints, 17-16 at home, he was 36 of 54 attempting 54 passes at the age of 45, I believe. So that's kind of cool. 54-45, that reversal. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception most recently here. Looking at Tom Brady's statistical numbers here, when you look at fantasy, he has thrown at least 2 touchdowns in each of the last 3 weeks. Before that, he threw 1 touchdown in back-to-back weeks, threw 0 before that, and has had a bunch of 1 touchdown weeks. So he has had altogether this season, he has had 7 weeks where he's thrown 1 touchdown, 1 week where he threw none, 3 where he's thrown 2, which are the last 3 weeks, and 1 where he threw 3, which was against Kansas City, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in a 41-31 loss. Very weird ending as far as both teams ending on the number 1, which is very weird. If you were on one of those boards, right, and you were picking the numbers to have 1-1, you would think, oh, okay, I'm probably not going to win this thing because it's hard to find that. But 41-31, that might be the first time I've ever seen that score. So in all the years that I broadcasted for 19 plus years. But yeah, Tom Brady's numbers aren't great is what I'm trying to say, right? His numbers fantasy-wise are not great. And so I would say Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. San Francisco, Brock Purdy's out there looking ever so purdy as Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo are both out. So that means Christian McCaffrey is a yes and George Kittle is a yes. But where does George Kittle go with Jimmy Garoppolo out, and what does that look like? Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, I would have them relegated to wide receiver 3s due to the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. And, now looking at this, I would say probably Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle as we keep with my theme of when the backup comes in, lean on the running back and lean on the tight end. Carolina at Seattle for the last midday game that's going to be happening this Sunday, December 11th. Carolina at Seattle. This is a game where you want to say, oh, it's hands down going to be Seattle. But Carolina's done some weird things this season and won some games that make you kind of scratch your head. Sam Darnold is your starter. P.J. Walker is right behind him. Matt Corral is the rookie they drafted who hasn't played all season. And Baker Mayfield is no longer on the team after the Baker Mayfield sweepstakes took 100 million years to get done. And I understand why it took so long to get done, because obviously maybe people were seeing something that they didn't like or not seeing something, because now he went on waivers and is with the Rams. In this game, Dante Foreman is worth the play. And beyond that, I would say DJ Moore, maybe you put him out there as a wide receiver 4. I've been really let down by him. Dante Foreman, do like him out there. Geno Smith on the other side of it, playing Carolina's defense, and with a bunch of teams on bye week, this could be a good week for you to play the Seattle quarterback. Kenneth Walker III has an ankle injury. God willing, he's able to go. The Seattle Seahawks, I don't know what's going on in the waters of the NFC West, but yet another team like the Cardinals that have almost every running back on the injury report. Kenneth Walker is questionable with an ankle injury. Travis Homer is questionable with a knee injury. DJ Davis is questionable with an ankle injury. Rashad Penny still on injured reserve, which means that Tony Jones might be the guy that gets the carries for this team, which means that DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett should be out there for you, and maybe a Will Dissly as somebody you put out there at tight end this week if you can get him off of waivers, or if somebody was willing to part ways with him. Tony Jones, that come in from Notre Dame, might be the guy out there. But I would say Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and maybe a look at Will Dissly in a game like this if the running back situation continues to be as injured as it is. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, final step aside of the fantasy football Power Hour for this week, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, NFL Week 14 of the 2022-23 season. When we come back inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, we'll bring you Sunday and Monday Night Football and wrap things up here. So we got some thoughts that came in here, and I want to make sure we get to them. So Greg said Huntley tends to hyper-target Andrews as he did last year when Jackson went out due to injury. I expect Jackson to be out a couple weeks. Unfortunately, Ravens need to get dubs in order to be playoff bound. Very true, and that's what I said. Backup quarterback comes in, you go to your tight end, and you go to your running back. So that's why I still very much like Mark Andrews out there. Russell Wilson continues to have more bathrooms in his house than throwing touchdowns. Danger, Greg. And you could also say more bathrooms than throwing touchdowns and more SHI you-know-what than bathrooms to put them in. And then, not a lot of stuff, a lot of poop coming out here on this offense. More Purdy than Jimmy G. Love it. And then who is going to be the Seahawks running back this week? Probably Tony Jones, as it stands right now. So we shall see what we shall see. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after you hear from our fantastic partners in Central and Upstate New York, and we'll bring you Sunday and Monday Night Football.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Q's, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? and a smile hits both their ears, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York. Coming to you fall 2022. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street as well. And those are all in Syracuse, as well as on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-through location of North Syracuse. So make sure that you head out there today. Inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat, where you're watching all the games 7 days a week and enjoying everything that they have to offer, from their massive screens to their stage to the events we get to do with West Genesee and everything that Wake Up Call gets to do on site on locations, to their bands and to everything that they have there, from getting drinks with your friends as well as going out on a date, hanging with mom and dad, being there with the kids, having a kids party, a Christmas party, holiday party. So many ways to enjoy the Wildcat on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, and we look forward to you doing that today and supporting local. And of course, for takeout and delivery, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports Pub. With that being said, inside of this fantasy football advice piece for NFL Week 14, 2022-23 season, Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Chargers are next. Tua, dang it, is injured again. Why? Skylar Thompson might be out there because Teddy Bridgewater is questionable with a knee injury. Tua is questionable with an ankle injury. We'll see if he's able to play. They need him. The Miami Dolphins are 8-4, and they're fighting a very difficult division of the AFC East. They're currently in second place, and so no time for Tua to be out. Buffalo is 9-3. Miami is 8-4. The Jets are 7-5, and the Patriots are 6-6. Ironically, Tom Brady's old team would be leading his division if they were in the NFC South, because they, like the Bucs, are also 6-6. But in the AFC East, they're in last place because of how strong the East division is. Pretty crazy, like I said, in baseball this year. The East divisions of the AL and NL were the best. In the NFL this year, arguably, the East divisions of the AFC and NFC are the best. Funny how these things have happened in the East in both baseball and football. So, football-wise, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, worth the play in this game. Raheem Mostert or Jeff Wilson Jr., you can look to them as flex guys. I picked up Jeff Wilson Jr. when he came over from San Francisco, and ironically just played his old team at San Fran in a 33-17 loss. Raheem Mostert had 7 carries for 30 yards. Jeff Wilson had 1 carry for 3 yards. Kind of sad there. So not much going on, not much to write home about for these guys. And Tyreek Hill was really the bright spot of this not good game for Miami. 146 yards, 9 catches on 14 targets with a touchdown for Tyreek Hill. So, in this matchup, I would say, again, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. And then if you want to flex out Jeff Wilson or Raheem Mostert, I hope that that's not one of your 1 or 2 guys, but this week with so many teams off, maybe you have to put them out there in one of your top 2 spots. Hopefully you have other people to fill the need and fill the space, but overall I have them as flex running backs this week. Justin Herbert on the other side is worth the play to me. Austin Eckler as well, Keenan Allen, and if Mike Williams is not going to play with an ankle injury, God willing, he'll get better. Josh Palmer, worth putting out there as a flex. So looking at that, and then I want to take a look at Joshua Kelly. Josh Kelly in the backfield with Austin Eckler. If we take a look at Mr. Kelly and what he's done up to this point for the team, Joshua Kelly, 138 yards in total. We look at his game log, right? and not too much to write home about. 30 yards here, 49 yards there. So not a guy that I would look to pick up, especially with a healthy Eckler. So I like Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen in this one, and Josh Palmer, if Mike Williams is unable to go, to flex him out. Monday Night Football, we will take a look at New England at Arizona. Who did this to us on Monday night? Now, I got a feeling because Bill Belichick plays up in games like this that New England might, put on a show for us on Monday Night Football. The Arizona Cardinals haven't looked pretty. They're 4-8. The Patriots are 6-6. I think they're primed to make a run because, well, it is Bill Belichick. Ramondre Stevenson, he's definitely taken over here. I like him out there for the team, and I like Hunter Henry. Outside of that, not a big fan of anybody else fantasy-wise for the Patriots as of right now. For Arizona, Kyler Murray, hard to keep him off. I got him as a lower-end quarterback one this week. James Conner is back and healthy and ready to go. Like I said, their backfield was almost totally injured, and now they have 3 healthy guys, thank God. And, James Conner for this one, I would have him as a flex running back 3. DeAndre Hopkins is worth the play. Marquise Hollywood Brown is going to be out there as well. Good firepower for the team, so I got him as a wide receiver 3, and that's really where it sits for me. Kind of sad that Monday night doesn't give as much fantasy value. You'd like to think that Arizona is going to bring it, but they're playing, like I said, Bill Belichick in prime time, which is not a great thing to have to do, and at the same time, they've underwhelmed this season overall. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. If you have a question for fantasy, and it is, here for week 14 or whatever it may be, you can feel free to send these to me. So by going to this video, you can reply to this video, of course. You can reply to us here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt directly on the video, and I'll see it and I can answer it. Or you can do that to the video on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, or you can write to me on Facebook in general at wakeupcalldt, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, and you can private message me on any one of those to ask me a fantasy question. Make sure you're tuning in live to Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /wakeupcalldt, as well as on facebook.com /livenowdt and on wakeupcalldt.com. Once the shows go live, you can check us out in the archives by tuning in to us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, and more. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And, of course, a big thanks to our Central and Upstate New York partners that I cannot thank enough for being here in our community. I don't just work with businesses, I work with good people. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mother's Cupboard, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Watertown, 317 at Montgomery, Pizza Man, and Wake Up Call is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your College Dolphins. It is fins up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Lemoyne College Dolphins on the Heights and beyond. Appreciate the Dolphins, and every Wednesday, including today, Dolphin Time, bringing you every first and third Wednesday of each month around 9 a.m. Eastern Time to start off the show. Bringing you the first and third Wednesday of each month is AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, we bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes as well as coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. So you can make sure to check us out with all of those specials airing Wednesdays at 9 a.m. You had a double dose today with AD and DT and Dolphin Dive. Want to thank Bob Beretta and Adam Zakowski for that. And, of course, you can get all our content with the Dolphins, including these videos, by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, subscribing to youtube.com /wakeupcalldt, and for more information on your Dolphins, go to their newly redesigned site, LemoyneDolphins.com. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Make sure you check out the Bobcat Buzz, airing every single month. Got some cool things coming up for you this week as well. Love the Bobcats, appreciate them tremendously, and love being their exclusive multimedia marketing partner. You can see stories with student athletes, administration, and coaches by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as by going and subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and checking out our Bobcat content. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and thank you for all you do. You can actually see the Bobcats in the studio. I am a man of my word, and so we have the Bobcat bobblehead right here hanging out with me in the studio with my favorite number 21 that was given to me when we signed our partnership. So big thanks to the Bobcats for that. And as promised, the first ever baseball team for Bryan and Stratton signed a Bryan and Stratton baseball for me here. Let's see if I can show you that. So you got the Bryan and Stratton College baseball right here. And I had the team sign it, the inaugural interviews that I did with the team. So Sean Peak is here, Evan Reynolds, Alex Garcia, and Brian Angelis are all signed onto this baseball. And I told them that it would go in the studio. And being a man of my word, it is here in the studio. You see the signatures right there. And it's right here over my shoulder with the Bobcat. So much love and many thanks to the wonderful people at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. And, of course, Mr. Reynolds, as you can see, I am proudly wearing the band that you got for me, and I wear this very proudly, the Evan Reynolds band that says, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." So, much love for that and much respect, so thank you for giving me that. And thank you to Sean Peak for bringing it over. For Bob Beretta, for Adam Zakowski, for the Wildcat and the Fantasy Football Power Hour, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. I want to thank Ma and Paz for absolutely doing an incredible job in our community. It is the great time to get a unique Christmas and holiday gift. Get out Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas, whatever you're celebrating, head out to Ma and Paz today. 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Any one of their tins, any size of their tins. You can get the Christmas ones, you can get the sport ones, whatever you want. You can get ones that are completely blank if you want to do that and just get a one that's just one color. Any one of their tins, any size of their tins, half price refills for the rest of your life. Go and buy the tin today, fill it up with what you like or with what one of your loved ones would like, and hand it off as a gift at Ma and Pa's. We do things in a beautiful way, and I love the community. Ma and Pa's is just a special, special place. Jim and Angela are fantastic human beings, and I love everything that they do. So head out there today and get the gift that keeps on giving. Half-price refills forever, ever. But if you get those tins at Ma and Pa's, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And if you're out of town, you can go to maandpazpopcorn.com. For now, from the Cafe Kubal Studios, with all of this awesome Witty Wicks merchandise that is here, head out to Witty Wicks. I'll be heading out there over the weekend. They've done a bunch of special events, had their 11-year anniversary. We just did Black Friday. We had Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, the 12 Wicks of Winter. So many great things to get out at Witty Wicks, so go and do that today, and I look forward to seeing you out there, and appreciate you supporting local as always. And I think points will be scored on Monday night, is what Greg said here. So we shall see what we shall see, and like I said, always great to talk with you, always great to be with you. Appreciate you so much. We will see you tomorrow morning, God willing. Thank you to Bob, thank you to Adam, thank you to the Wildcat, thank you to you. Above all things, thank you to the one that knows me best, and sometimes the one that is the only one that I think truly knows me. My God, my love, my life, my heart. And this picture that is in my studio that I look at every day that says, can we see it here? I am the way, the truth, and the life. John 14:6. So, got to know where you came from, right? Have a great day. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Please be good to each other. Please be nice. and don't let anybody take your peace away.